What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you see a Patreon account. You click, you become a member. All you got to do is try to recommend movies and music and trailers for me to react to, so click the link. Now, with that being said, we are here today to review X, the A24 movie directed by T.I. West, who's done, I think, Cabin Fever #2 and a bunch of other movies that I'm not familiar with. The biggest names in this movie is Mia Goth, who did Nymphomaniac. We also have Gina Ortega, who's been in Scream, Studio 666. And then we also have freaking Kid Cudi. I did not know that was fucking him in this movie, but apparently Kid Cudi is now acting. I had no clue that was him. But let's go ahead and get into this movie. So, quick synopsis of the movie. There's a group of young adults. They are traveling somewhere in order to shoot a pornographic film. They find the location, and there's this crazy old man who's saying, like, well, my wife, she ain't too good. She's kind of sick or whatever. So, like, you guys got to keep it down. Some things occur, and eventually she goes psychotic, and it becomes a quest for survival. Now, honestly, the movie was a fun watch, but I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you guys. The storyline is, like, not really super fucking original. I get it. They went for the little grindhouse film with the music, very 70s with the gritty look. They had the long shots. They had things that were funny that possibly weren't trying to be funny. But, overall, the movie comes off as very comedic without even trying. I'm not sure if it was trying to be funny, but it comes off that way, and that does kind of like dip into the 80s, 70s grindhouse feel. But again, it was fun. Had a cool little soundtrack. Had a nice funky soundtrack in some scenes. But again, the storyline of the movie isn't anything to like go crazy over. It's not something super original. It's not something you're gonna go wild over, And then the one thing that I hate about movies is when they try to connect the pieces. They try way too hard to connect the pieces. And sometimes it's better when you don't do that, because it's better when things are just done just because and not because there's some sort of freaking reason. And then sometimes when you try too hard to connect the pieces, you kind of take away that whole like shock factor, and you kind of diminish it. You tarnish it. You don't make it as good as it could have been, because to me, the whole extra plot line that they added into the movie, to me, was kind of like, it took it to a more comedic route, because the idea that this is a possibility and that was something that can happen is so damn far-fetched, it becomes stupid, But again, like I said, it was a fun watch, but the fact that they took it there, and you'll see where there is when you actually watch this movie, it, to me, took out the believability of this, and it took out the realism of it, and it kind of just, I don't know, it suffers from that same kind of idea that same complaint I had with Titan, where it's like you have a film with a decent enough original plot, like the storyline itself by itself is cool. You don't need to add in these weird subplots in order to give it a shock factor or a wow factor, and that's what they tried to do here in order to kind of like wow the audience, or do something that's going to make the audiences cringe, or they're going to try to make the audience look away. I don't know if the whole idea of this movie was to freak the audience out, but to me, you made it a little bit more comedic. Now, the big pluses in this movie, I'm talking about big thumbs in this thing. Seriously, the gore and the special effects and the practical effects that they used in this movie, fantastic job at that. The kills in the movie, amazing, right? The acting in the movie, it's cool, it's pretty dope. It's not something that's going to be over the top, win somebody an award or anything like that, but it does the freaking job. The gritty look, the gritty vibe of it, it's I liked it a lot, and it's funny because these movies, when you watch movies a lot, I guess it becomes a little bit predictable. And I wasn't trying to think too much about this film, but my wife leaned over to me and she was like, "This is what's going to happen next." And I was like, "Oh, I don't think so." The standard subplots of these stupid horror movies, like, they go a certain way. So I was like, I didn't think much of it. I was like, I don't think so. Maybe this will be standard formula. But they kind of deviated away from the standard formula of horror movies, and they did something else. They went like kind of it was so in the direction of what you would kind of saw. Like, it kind of hinted that it was going that way, but at the same time, I thought that it wouldn't go that way because it was too obvious that that was the direction, and it just made you kind of hope that at least one of the characters would, you know, I can't even say it because I don't want to give too much away, but it just kind of gave you the hope that one of the characters would continue to be who they presented themselves to be. So when you're watching the movie and then all of a sudden, like, that person deviates away from this this development that they had, you know, you're just like, what the fuck, you know. Also, towards the end of the movie, there's like a small connection. There's like this small hint of more connecting the pieces, and I kind of felt like, even though it was an okay connecting piece, I still kind of felt like, like, you know, I don't know if, like, did that need to be done? Was that something that just had to happen? Like, it was cool, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't something where I was just like, whoa, man, that's a nice little cool tie-in. And apparently this movie, they already kind of started banking on a sequel. So, not even a sequel, sorry, it's a prequel about the elderly lady and I guess her life during her younger years, or maybe 10, I don't know. Maybe like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years prior, who knows. But like I said, the movie's fun. It's a fun movie to watch. It's super comedic at moments. And if I have to compare it to a movie, then it reminds me of, if you guys have seen it, it reminds me of The Visit. You can watch this movie and you will completely see the parallels between this and The Visit in certain aspects. But again, like I said, it's a fun movie to watch. I enjoyed it. If you have, please don't be those parents that take your kids to see this movie, because you guys will win the shittiest parent of the year award. It's not something you want to take your kids to. It's not something you want to take your teenager to, because I guarantee you're gonna feel fucking uncomfortable watching this with your kid. And I don't know what the hell would compel you to do that, but sure, why not? So here on the Cinema Chop Shop, we grade movies in 3 ways. Count them 3 ways. Either you get bodied and sent to the bowels of hell, which means your movie's trash, basura. You know, I need to find how to say trash in another language, maybe like Japanese or something. Or, you know, your movie's gets a big fat meh, which means all right, más o menos, you know, mediocre, mid-grade, mid-range, you know. Or you get spared, and I say your movie's tight, dope, awesome, etc., etc., etc. Now, what I am going to say before I give this movie a grade is that I had a lot of fun with this movie. Just because I'm telling you that the plot is stupid, and just because I'm telling you that these forced connections are stupid, doesn't mean that overall the movie isn't fun. Like, you know, the first half of the movie does fucking drag a little bit, and you're kind of waiting for something to pop off because this is a horror movie, you know? And I sat there and watched it, and I was waiting for, like, A24 to do some artsy shit. And, you know, it happened several times in the movie. You know, it has its artsy elements, but they were fun artsy things, you know. They're very kind of cool cinematic moments. Like, there's this one moment, dude, where honestly, that would be a pretty dope GIF, or even like an intro to something. Talk about that later. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spare this movie.
He ain't earned the death. He ain't earned the death at my hands. God's only man, spared by the butcher.
Yes, you heard it, folks. I'm sparing this movie. I mean, even though, like I said, plot isn't all there, I still had a whole bunch of fun watching this movie. Even though the beginning was kind of slow, I felt like it was building up to something. These movies seem like what they're doing now is they're kind of like hyping up these main actors and main characters in order for you to just be like, you know what? I honestly don't give a shit if all you guys die, you know. And Kid Cudi, shout out to Kid Cudi, because like I said, I didn't even know that was fucking him in the movie. But, you know, he did a pretty good job as his character. You know, he did what he needed to do. He was a man of few words, but the words that he said, did what he had to do. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, like you're trying too hard. So it was a fun watch. I respect it. Cast did good. Music was dope. Freaking the gore, practical effects were dope. I have a lot of fun watching this movie. But like I said, don't go into this movie expecting like some glorious plot. something that's gonna knock you off your socks, something that's gonna like make you have, you know, put this in a top 10. You know, this is honestly a cult classics film. Like, this movie will gain a notorious cult following within the next 10 years. I can guarantee it, but it's not going to be a main staple within like the horror franchise. You get what I'm saying? It's going to be like the, you know, the Hatchets of the world, you know, little low budget, kind of like off to the side movies that everybody loves. But like I said, this is honestly, it's gearing up to have a cult following. So kudos to them for doing that. I can't wait to see the prequel. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything that I just said right now. You are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, or exiting, sorry, entering. You are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys are having a magnificent day. And adios, homies.